Hello, everybody. Welcome back. Welcome back. Again, this is day one of the the Black Women Photographer Summit. Third year in a row, sponsored by Adobe Photoshop Lightroom. Isn't that so beautiful? I am your host, Chrissy, Chicago photographer based in LA currently, and I have music photographer Mickey with us here today. Hello, hello.
Hi, how are you? How's everyone doing?
So good, so good. We already got a bunch of people in the chat. That makes me so happy.
Ooh.
So I want to start right off the top. Let's just get started in like how you started photography and let
Mhm.
people know a little bit about yourself.
Well, my name is Mickey. I go by ItchyEyePhotos, and every time I tell this story, like people are so shocked. So I was in my junior year of high school, and it was either I'm taking gym in the morning or I'm taking the photo class to be inside with like all the cool kids. And they're like, yeah, this class is easy, yada yada yada. And I was like, okay, period. Like I just wanna coast through my junior year. That's it. Then I ended up becoming the class nerd. And I fell in love with photography. Like I took it so serious. And it's crazy because we had like a self-portrait of like one of our first assignments, and everyone was like, oh,
Oh,
you gotta take a self-portrait, right? It was cute.
yeah.
So I took this photo of my eyes and like I added like Photoshop, Express stuff on it, and then it just came to me like that. It was just like, oh, itchy eye photos. And that's literally how it started.
Really?
Yeah.
That's so okay. Wait, so you said it was either gym or photography.
hmm
So did you ever think you were gonna do sports photography at a time, or did you do it?
No, I mean I've done like fitness photography and sports photography, but I
Okay.
never like the trajectory of like my path, like I never knew it was gonna like get to this point at all.
Oh, okay. Which I did
Yeah.
see some fitness photography on your page. So right.
Yes.
Okay, so bring us like catch us up to speed, bring us to today. Where did you start off? Like what niche did you start in just to like get your bearings?
It was a lot of portrait photography. Like I just love taking photos of people. Kind of like growing up, my dad used to have like old photos of people in the family, and they'd be like, "Oh, this is so and so," and like I couldn't really put like a face to it until I saw the pictures. So it's always fascinated with like people watching or like people's faces. So I just started doing like a lot of like music stuff first because I love music. And it
Mhm.
was like some underground parties and stuff like in my areas. And that's where Rolling Loud came to be. So before it was Rolling Loud Music Festival, it was Dope B&T. So they would have like um little shows, like little mom and pop shows, like grungy, like little ghetto shows. And
Okay.
I would photograph that. And then that's just how it started. Like I was just going from festival to festival to festival and then just reaching out to other festivals and be like, hey, like I want to shoot. And they'd be like, yeah, sure. Like we've seen your work, like come shoot. So yeah, that's how we got here today.
That's amazing. So I just got to shout out small venues. I have a very deep love for small
Yes.
venues in your city. In particular, Chicago small venues are some of my favorite places that I've seen some of my favorite artists for the
hmm
low, when you like an early fan of somebody. So that makes me so happy to hear that like that's where you get your start. Um,
Yeah.
Anybody who's interested in concert or music photography in general always ask like how do you get into a festival, who do you contact, can you let people know your process in that?
Yeah, of course. And I love helping people. Like people are always in my DMs like asking me stuff and I tell them like the exact formula
Come
and
on,
like
yes, no
the
gatekeeping.
yeah, of course, like no gatekeeping here. So you basically have to like use social media like to your advantage. Like go on Instagram, go to the festival's website, see who they're following. Um, See if there's any like promoters like on the flyer, you know how they have like the little icons of like the
Right.
sponsors and stuff like that. So you're basically gonna reach out to everyone and anyone. To reach out to the artist management on the team. You're looking for promoters. Maybe there's like an influencer program, or maybe you want to get in with like some of the sponsors. So like Hennessy and like all these other like drink associations that they'll have, and just basically like just you got to grind it out. Like you really have to grind it out. And like, cause you might be told no, or you might be told, hey, we can only have you like shoot this set for like the first three songs and stuff like that. So it's like you really have to do your research and just like don't be afraid of putting yourself out there and like just following up and reaching. It's like going back to school and like searching through Instagrams, and that's how you'll get into the festivals.
That first three songs rule is so annoying. And I'm like, and
Yeah.
I tried my hand at concert photography a couple times, and it isn't my niche. I really value it and I love it, and I love your work too.
Thank
Um,
you.
but it's just a scam. It's a scam. Like we know, like they want folks at certain publications and the
Mhm.
festival themselves and their media team to be able to cover it like they want to cover it. But how do you get from a place from just shooting at a festival for the first three songs for an artist to like maybe being an artist photographer or being
Mhm.
able to stay for their whole set or something like that?
So the first three, like maybe there's people in this Zoom that don't know what the first three is. The first three is you're going into the photo pit and you're only allowed to shoot the first three songs of the artist. And usually like the best performances, everything that happens after the first three songs. But they want to let like publications like Getty or like what's another one? Like Vibe magazine and things like that, like come in and photograph. And it's like you want to use those three songs like treat it as if like you're putting like all your eggs in one basket. Like you need to like shoot like all your best shots in those first three songs. And what you can do is you can again research again and like send those photos to their management team or send it to the festival and be like, hey, I took these shots, and like always keep tagging the people in the photos or like using like the hashtags and everything like that. So it's really just about like promoting yourself, and then from there you'll kind of just see like the universe just open up to you, and like they'll be like, oh, do you want to photograph this artist, or do you want to do this, or do you want to do that, and you'll be like, yeah, yeah, yeah. So you kind of have to just build that clientele and like that portfolio, if you want to go from shooting the first three to like actually working on the media festival or working with the artist or like shooting for them when they're in town and stuff like that.
Come on, you talking about breakthroughs and manifestation early? It's like it's
Yes.
almost like you're reading my mind, Mickey. Like since you said
I'm
that, I wanted to pull up this tweet that we found that you tweeted yourself. One day I'll photograph Coachella back in 2020. And then in
Mhm.
2022, what happened? Can you tell us a little bit
Like,
about it? Like, how was it? Was that also
oh,
at Coachella?
y'all trying to make me cry right now. This is crazy. Okay, so I'm really big on like manifestation and kind of just like the spirituality of the world. Like if you give things to it, it gives it right back to you. So I'm always like putting stuff out there. And for me, it's like being the Lulu is a Lulu. Okay, so you have to just I write it down, and I said one day I'll photograph Coachella. And I was telling everybody about it. I'm like, yeah, girl, like I'm photographing Coachella. Like one day, like I'm gonna be right there with you. And I feel like the universe has a way of like you're speaking positivity, it's gonna give positivity to you back. But you also have to like once you say it, you gotta be about it. So if I'm saying it, I'm also like diligently reaching out. I'm perfecting my work. I'm seeing their work on their page. Like, how does that reflect to my work and things like that? And it's like I don't put any timelines on my manifestations or like things that I want to happen. It's just I say it, and then when it happens, it happens. And all glory be to God, it happened three times. So I've
What?
photographed Coachella three times, and that is my favorite festival that I've ever shot.
That's so beautiful. And I mean, like a testament to how it's not overnight. Like
Nope.
you
Mm-mm.
tweeted that in 2020, but you worked before 2020, like you worked
Yes.
to get to that manifestation. And then it took 2 years to show itself, to
Yep.
present itself to you.
Hmm.
And I want to say that because a lot of people, uh, I think sometimes just get frustrated with the grind or the
Yep.
practice or being like, oh, I've been like manifesting this for 2 3 years and it's not coming, and they think that, I don't know, like maybe it's just discouraging for them. And I'm like,
Hmm.
how beautiful it is that we have concrete proof right here that sometimes
Yes.
it takes a couple years, but it's gonna come.
It's gonna come. It's gonna come. For sure, and it's like, I know people can look at my page and think, "Oh, she has, like, all these accolades, doing all these things," but if you keep scrolling, like, all the way to the bottom, you can see, like, where I started, and I always leave that on my page for people, like, they're scrolling through my work, like, it didn't just start where it is now, right? Like, I didn't go from level 1 to level 10 in, like, 2 seconds, like, it took years of practice, and I feel like with the manifestations, if you're saying things that you want, like, maybe there's a reason you're not getting it now. Maybe you need to learn like more of the business side, or maybe you need to be like a little bit more creative, or show your personality online, or just like anything that goes into being basically like a business. Like those are the things that you need to learn like along the way. So don't beat yourself up if you're not getting the opportunities now. It's just it may be a no now, but it's not a no forever.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Which speaking of which, what advice would you give someone who doesn't live in a major market for shows?
Okay.
Like,
Well, I live in Miami, so the major market would be literally like LA and New York.
right,
Um, Even if you're not living in like a major city, you can reach out because a lot of the stuff is online now, so it's not like printed in paper. So you can reach out to like small venues in your area, or there's kinda like the online blogs. You can just message them and be like, "Hey, like, can we do like a barter exchange? Like, I shoot photos for you, and then like I get a photo pass and get to use it from my portfolio." Like super simple. That's how you have to send the message and just keep it like strictly professional in business, and just see how that like unfolds, and just be like a bit of a finesser and just, like, move through it, because there's not one way of doing everything, right? Like,
right.
maybe someone has, like, certain connections or things like that, and it's just, like, use your skills to your advantage.
Yeah, for sure. Somebody in the comments already, you guys, if you have any questions for Mickey, please drop them in the Q&A now. I'm gonna start reading some off because it touches on what we're talking about. Anonymous says, as someone who is also a part of the live music photography scene, a lot of the opportunities are free or not paid. How have you gotten the opportunity to get into those paying jobs? So what's your like transition period like?
Well, that's a very good question. And I would tell to people like it's okay to do like the jobs for free and just like getting your feet wet, because you have to know that these people don't know you and they don't know your work, right? So they're hiring you for your work, but they're also hiring you like as a person. So you need to just build that kind of like relationship like with these companies or like whoever's hiring you, and like it's totally fine to work for free because that's building like your portfolio, because you want to have a portfolio to show whatever job you're going to, like, "Hey, this is what I do." And there's been gigs that I've done for free, and they've turned into, like, lifelong partnerships. It's actually I have a crazy story. It's, like, for Gov Ball, when I first reached out to shoot Governor's Ball in New York, they already had their media team set, right? I was like, "Dang, like, I really wanted to do this." I researched all night. I'm up at, like, 3, 4 in the morning, and then found, like, the head of the media person, and I was like, "Hey, I'm gonna hop on a flight, and don't worry about, like, any of the expenses and stuff. I just wanna show you what I could do." And you really have to believe in yourself to do things like that, because it's not easy, just, like, putting your all into something that it might not come back to you. But yeah, I shot my first governor's ball for free, and I'm already on my what, like fourth or fifth governor's ball working with them, paid now. So it's like you really have to just go all in on yourself, and don't let it deter you if someone else is getting compensated and you're not. Like, your path is your path. And, yeah, working for free is totally fine. It won't always be like that, like, you will start to get paid.
Right. Yeah, that's such a good point. It's like you gotta be able to build your portfolio somehow.
Mhm,
And if the skill that you already have or the asset that you already have isn't the person, so it isn't like the artist that you can photograph right now,
mhm,
then you have to get in another way. And sometimes
exactly.
it's even for free. Um, which, okay, boom. So we're at the concert, we're in the photo pit, and they're like, this is unpaid and you only got 3 songs. Do what you got to do. How do you
Hmm.
prioritize the shots? Like, do you already have a shot list in your mind? Do they give you a shot list? What works out for you?
So if you're doing the first 3 songs, um, you won't have a shot list because you'll be working like for the publication. But if you're working on the media team, they'll give you like a shot list of like things, like the entirety of the whole festival and how they want things to look. I don't go in with the mind state of the shot list when I'm in the photo pit photographing the artist. I base it off of the music that the artist is playing.
Yeah.
So I am a big fan of music, all genres. So I'll know like if it's a Travis Scott song, like, okay, we need to bump the shutter up. Like this is gonna be like high energy. Or like if maybe it's like a Billie Eilish song and it's like a small tempo. Like there's just certain ways to photograph things. Like every artist is not the same. And for me, like being in the photo pit for the first 3 songs, I shoot with 2 camera bodies. So I'll have 7200 on one, and then I'll have either 24 to 70 or 16 to 35 on the other. And that just makes it a lot easier because it's like the first 3 songs, like think the songs are long, but they're like really short. It like happens like that. So maybe
Yeah.
there's fireworks or confetti, or like maybe they're jumping off the stage and you want to get it like really, really quick versus if I only had one and I'm having to change the lenses and stuff, I might miss a moment. Um, yeah, I always shoot with 2 camera bodies, no matter what. If I have first 3 songs or I'm in there for the whole set.
Important. And I have another question about that, but like I just thought about how music has gotten shorter, like within the past maybe
Mhm.
like 10 years. I feel like they should up this number. Like
Yes,
songs used to normally be 3 to 5 minutes, and now it's like a minute and a half is a normal song.
I know. Now it feels like a party next door snippet. Like it's just a
Right.
minute.
This ain't enough time.
I know it's not.
Which speaking of which, like how do you get what you need in such a short amount of time?
Well, I use a lot of prism lens filters, so like it like just makes the photos look a lot different, right? So you might have like a starburst or like a kaleidoscope, and it's like
I love
I'll
that.
just keep switching those like throughout the whole thing, right? So if an artist is on the stage, we only have the first song is like only a minute. I'm gonna be here for like 30 seconds. I'm gonna be over here for 30 seconds. Like I move around. I don't stay in one spot. And then I also just try like maybe I'll try like a slow shutter or like a fast shutter, or I'll use like a starburst filter. And it's like I keep moving around the pit and just doing creative things so it doesn't get like mundane, because if
Yeah.
I'm just burst firing of an artist, it's just gonna look boring. And you'll know when you'll have that money shot because you'll just feel it in your gut. You'll be like, oh, I got it, that's the one.
True. I want to bring it to the chat again. It's a couple of questions in here that feel really good.
Nice.
Okay, so I'll start off with Anonymous, who said, should photographers buy tickets to the shows and bring their cameras and shoot? I see so many photographers doing this. How do
You
you feel?
can. That's a good idea. I know for like the facts for the festival, they're like, oh, no detachable lenses, like if you're buying a ticket for like GA and stuff. But I feel like technology has really expanded in the last couple years. So you can get away with like these little pocket cameras with like the crazy zooms. And it's like, yeah, definitely do that. Like sometimes I'm in the photo pit and I see like people in the GA with their little cameras, and I just can't stop smiling because it's like I was there. So it's like good to see that reflection and stuff. And sometimes I'll grab their camera, be like, hey, let me get this photo for you. And I'll just like help them out. And yeah, you can definitely buy a ticket to a concert and start shooting that way. Like there's no right or wrong answer like in photography or like in music festival photography world.
Yeah, I feel like that's another good example of just like doing what you got to do to get it. Like your
Hmm.
example of being like, hey, I'll cover my flight and things if you'll let me in the show. It's like maybe you just buy the ticket and then you send those photos over to the artists and the venues and things like that
Exactly.
of your work. Which speaking of which, Cortina says, do you have a model release or something similar to post the artist's photos?
Can you repeat that again?
Cortina says, do you have to have a model release or something similar to post the artist's photos?
No, no, no. You can just go ahead and post them because remember, everybody behind you has like an iPhone, things like that. But yeah, you can definitely just go ahead and post those. Don't post like a bad photo that like you wouldn't post on your own page. But yeah, definitely post them and then tag them also.
Cool. And then speaking of that, Anonymous says, outside of posting and tagging images of your work, are there any other specific things you did to grow your following?
Um, hmm. I started showing more of my personality on camera. That definitely bumped it up a lot because like my photo name, ItchyEyePhotos, that's like an alias, right? And I stood behind
Right.
that alias. Like I didn't want to be in front of the camera, like no interviews, nothing like this. Like, but then I was like, wait, like how are these people supposed to know like if I'm cool or not to hire? So I just started putting myself in front of the camera and like people are like, oh, how do you start? And I'm like, just start. Just start, just press record and just like go after it. And then I would also like wouldn't stick to like one genre of music, right? Like maybe like I'm shooting like country music or like rap, and there's just so many different things you could do with music photography that it doesn't have to like stick to like one niche.
Yeah, and I see you make vlogs. They look very cool and fun. And I feel like I do
Thank
get
you.
a lot of your personality in them too. Um, how do you feel about this idea of like balancing being a content creator and an artist?
Well, the vlogs are fun for me because it's not client work, right? Like that's just like my personal thing that I like to do because I'm going to all these cool places, meeting all these people. Like, how can I show my supporters like what I'm doing or how to do it or how it is like behind the scenes? And yeah, I just show it from that. And I honestly love it because it's like when you're doing so much of the client work, you kind of miss out on doing things like for yourself. And that can happen with anything. Like somebody's working a 9 to 5 job and maybe they don't have the time to like just decompress and go outside and just like meditate or like do the gym. So it's like very important that you have your client work that you obviously love and do, but you also have just like a little something for yourself that just like keeps it going and keeps it fun, keeps it vibrant, because that'll also help like not getting into what's that like creator's block. Like you won't have that anymore. Like if you're doing something outside of um your 9 to 5 jobs.
Yes, I love this framework where it's like, do it if you like to do it.
Mhm. I like that.
Exactly. Okay, so we talked a little bit about camera gear. A
Mhm.
lot of folks want to know definitely what are the best things to use. And we also noticed that you're a Sony ambassador. So two parts. Could you tell us the cameras that you use and the lenses that you feel work best with music photography? And then how did you become this ambassador? Like, how do you do that? How does one like gain this opportunity?
You want to go with the camera lenses first because
Okay.
that'll be pretty easy. So I shoot with two camera bodies. So Sony A7R5, Sony A7R4. Those are both, I believe, in the 60 megapixel range. Pretty high, but it's like the way that I'm able to like crop into the photos. And it's okay if you're using like something that has less megapixels is fine. Just make sure you have two of those. 7200 stays on my camera. I have the Holy Trinity, so it's 7200, 24 to 70, 16 to 35. And then I also will have kind of like my fun prime lenses, which will be the 20 millimeter, 35, and 50. Um, yeah, and then I think I have like a
Oh,
video. Yeah. I'll have that loaded up like in my camera bag, but like every festival, I always have the Holy Trinity, 7200, 24, 1635. And then if I want to get like a little creative, maybe I'll bring like the 20 or like the 50 or things like that. And I keep that like in my bag year round.
Beautiful. Okay. And so then how did we become the ambassador of Sony? Become like, were you already a Sony girl? Who did you talk to? Like, how did this happen?
Oh man. Ah, I'm still speechless when people ask me like how did that come about? Um, God first, 100%. And I was shooting with another camera brand. We're not gonna say that name, but I switched from that camera brand to Sony. And the reason I did that was because like it was just start hurting my hands, you know, like I was focusing too much on the weight rather than just like taking the photos and worrying about like that aspect. I would tag them in my work and almost post like I was working with them already. So that kind of got their eye, right? And I was using like all this gear and like I was like, man, like this is really cool gear. Like I use it. Like maybe I can get some other people to like switch over and stuff. And like had a lot of people have switched over because of me. I switched over because of Greg Noir, who's a brilliant
Oh,
black
love him.
yeah,
Yeah,
he's Greg is phenomenal. It's
one of
phenomenal.
my goats for sure.
Yeah, incredible. Yeah, so he definitely got me to switch over. And I was doing the same thing, like how I get into the festivals. I was just researching and be like, hey, can we do like a barter exchange? Like, oh, you send me this or whatever. And then it took years, kind of like the Coachella thing. And they did reach out. They sent me some lenses. I would do like a little review of it. Um, and then they started sending me to their yearly trips. So when I went to their yearly trip, I still was not signed, anything like that. I think I went to two of their trips already. Was not signed, but I was pushing myself as if I was signed, you know? Posting their work, talking about them. And then one day I got the call. It was on a Friday. I was actually picking up my car from the dealer, and they were like, yeah, we're gonna sign you to something. And I was just like, what? Like, that is incredible and insane, but thank you so much. And yeah, to anything you want to accomplish in your life, just know that you can do it. It will take time, but it will happen.
Was that on the vision board?
It
Come
was.
on, come on.
It was. It was. It was
That
on there.
manifestation.
It was. It was like I put Sony Alpha Ambassador, and I would just write it as if it's already happened for me, and I don't put a time limit on it, and it happened.
That's beautiful.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank
Really,
you.
your work is so beautiful.
Thank you.
And I think more Black women need to see people like you who have these types of sponsorships and ambassadorships to even know that it's a possibility. Um,
Yes.
so it is very exciting that people get to see just like a different way to go about it. Okay, so I'm gonna go back into the chat. We have a lot of questions in here.
Ooh, love the chat
And that a
today.
couple people asked actually from anonymous, how do you feel about media teams capturing Black culture but not having any Black members on the team?
That's a good question.
Uh,
You know
However,
what? In all frank, that leads to be true in a lot of instances, but it's okay. It's okay. Being a Black woman, as hard as it is, like, don't put more pressure on yourselves. Like, there
yeah,
is a lot of times I go to these music festivals and I'm the only Black female photographer
yeah,
amongst a bunch of men, right? And it's like, I don't let that get in my head. Yes, it's something that you see, right? Because you stick out like a sore thumb,
right.
but it's like they picked me. I'm here for a reason. And it's like you just need to go with that. All the external factors like don't matter. Do your thing because there are people that are watching, right? There's people in this chat that are asking certain questions. Always going to be somebody, like maybe you're just leading the path or you're opening the doors for so many other creatives and stuff like that. And it's like so many times I've been the only one in the room or the only one in the photo pit. And it's like, it's okay. I'm here and I'm just going to focus on what I can control.
I like that. That's a good point. It's like, why stress yourself out even more?
Yes. Yeah.
Um, I think what's important as a Black woman photographer, it almost feels natural where if you make it in the room, you're naturally leaving the door open for more of us to be in
Hmm.
the room. So um, I think it might be a good approach to like not sweat it so much and
Yes.
just do your work and get your people in.
Hmm.
That's beautiful. Okay, so I have a bit of a long one from Montserrat. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, so it says, "Hey Mickey, I love your photography and how you managed to get access into doing these big festivals. I'm not a photographer, but I am an artist who likes to paint rappers. I would like to know how you get the access to get passes to be part of the festival's media." And then they leave a little note about how they love you and you guys know the same person.
Oh, hi. Thank you so much. That's a good question. That's so cool that you're not like a photographer, but you're still in the chat watching. So thank
Right?
you.
Shout out to that.
Thank you. We love that. We love to see people growing and just gathering information. But to answer your question, getting a media pass is this like same way that I've stated previously before, and it's like it just rings true. It's just like reaching out to as many people as you can and then just sending them like your best work and just letting the universe do its thing. Like if it's gonna happen, it'll happen. And you just know that you put your best foot forward.
You
And
know,
thank you.
oh, sorry.
No, no, it's okay.
Are there any unspoken rules to that? Like to how you have to talk to people at the venue or even like how you have to talk to the artist, like there's a certain level of finesse to all of this. Like,
Yes.
is there some kind of like insider knowledge you could be like, add a little bit of sprinkle of that?
Insider knowledge. I mean, if you have a mom, if you have a black mom, back in the day, you try to get into her grown people business, and she's like, stay out of grown people business, or like, just like she'll be like, oh, just be quiet, grown folks are talking. Like, I feel like that has helped in itself because it's like you got to read the room. Like when you're around like these artists and stuff, can't just go up to them and be like crazy super fan and stuff like that, or like the managers and stuff. Like you just want to keep it like strictly professional and just be like, hey, I have these photos. I would love to send to you. I'm a photographer and like we'll just see what happens. And then from there, like they'll be like, oh snap, this is cool. Like let me give you my email and stuff. They'll send it. And then a lot of times you'll see the artist post it and it's like that's how it happens. And it's like even if you're in the rooms with like certain people or like you're just reaching out through DMs, like you just want to keep it like concise, short, and just super professional. Yeah, you can show your personality like in person, but just like you have to read the room. So when my mom says like we'll just wait until we're finished, like that definitely helps because you don't want to like over bombard them with like questions and things like that.
That's a good point. I think some people might be a little too wordy sometimes and just trying to
Yeah.
find a balance of like, let's get straight to the point. Here's what I got. Can you get me in? What's up?
Yeah. Hmm. Simple,
Um,
just like that, because you got to know like these managers and people like they're doing like a billion things, right? You're
right.
sending them like a lengthy, long email or like taking up too much of their time in front of you. It's just like they need it now. It's like just stay what it is and let's just keep it going. And like obviously they'll feel like your vibe and your energy and your personality, it already speaks for itself.
Yeah. We have another anonymous question that says, do you ever sell prints of your work? They have a lot of work from artists that they photographed that they feel would sell well, but most of the work is unpaid or no contracts, and folks don't know like how, like, is that appropriate? Can they sell it? Do you have any advice there?
So a lot of times when you're signing for these festivals, like any job in general, they'll send you like a work for hire, and they basically they own the rights, or maybe they'll send you like, oh, you can own these photos, but it's like you can post it like on your portfolio and stuff. But if you're trying to like make a book or you're trying to make prints to make profit, it'll say in there that you really can't because they own the images, but a workaround would be just like contacting them and asking them or just showing your ideas. Like, hey, I want to make this book or I want to like print some of these photos. And then you don't sign a contract and you're just in there for the first three, or you brought your camera to the concert, like go, you can, it's free range. You can go ahead and print it. I personally don't, and it's not because of the legal bindings that I have, it's just it's a lot of work.
Yeah,
It's a lot of work to print and ship and get labels and stuff like that, but I am working on something soon. I just don't wanna announce it yet.
oh, not allowed to speak. Come on.
Yes.
Yes. Okay, I want to stay in the chat for a little bit. I really like this question from another anonymous person. We need to get to know y'all. Y'all getting to know us. But they said, how do you make community with other photographers off or on assignment? Have you ever made a friend?
Uh, I have, I have, I have.
Yeah,
I met Polly through
you met
Instagram.
Molly in the pit. Oh, I was
I
like,
met no, not even. I met Polly through Instagram. So a lot of my work colleagues have become like some of my good friends, and we've met through Instagram. I spoke to Sony through Instagram before we even like met in person. And yeah, use social media like to your benefit. I've definitely made a lot of friends in the photo pit. There'll be sometimes people will see me in the photo pit and they'll be like, yo, you're ItchyEyePhotos. Like, yeah, what's up, girl? Like you just like people are cool. Like just say what's up. Like you want to go grab like a bite to eat or you want to go to the movies. Like it's okay to be like a normal person and not like so stoic behind a camera. Like just like allow that opportunity in front of you to like blossom into other things, like blossom into like a lot of friendships.
yeah, I agree with that for sure.
Mhm.
And I mean, hello, Black women photographers. Like we have so many different pages where you can find other
Yes.
photographers in your city. We do meetups, like we do virtual things like this. Like, come on, y'all. There's plenty of photographer homies right here in the chat. You just got to find each other. Um, okay. So Mona says, are you solely focused on concert photography or do you hope to go back to shooting portraits or other genres or niches someday?
It's a good question. I like the chat.
Yeah.
I primarily shoot a lot of music photography, but there's a lot of work that I don't post on my page just because of like Instagram's algorithm and how it kind of shows up. But I definitely like I still shoot portraits, I still shoot like a lot of fitness stuff, I still shoot like kids and parties and stuff like that. I'll just put that on my website. So I just keep like a lot of like my music stuff on my Instagram page because that's what my followers like to see, but like a lot of my other work is on my website.
Yeah, I think that's important to know too. And we talked about it in our last talk with Ask Photos, that you don't have to like pigeonhole yourself to one genre, even
Mm-mm.
if there's algorithms on all these social media platforms and it's like, yeah, it's probably tailored to one thing, but you don't have to share with everyone to be a portrait photographer and a music photographer or and a newborn photographer. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? You can take all of the paths that you're interested in. And that makes me happy that you do that.
Yes. Don't stick yourself in a box.
Yeah, don't put yourself in a box. Okay, Mona also asks, do you have a dream photography gig? Have you achieved it already?
Ah, okay, the Drake one was a dream. That was a dream. We already accomplished that, so check that off. Um,
Yeah.
Coachella was one. Um,
And then you said you've been
and
to Coachella 3 times now, right?
yeah, three times.
Okay, wait. So speaking of this, so you shot like Governor's Ball 4 times, Coachella 3 times. How do
Hmm.
you make sure like it's fresh every year, like you're attacking it differently every year?
Um,
Mhm.
different lenses. I love that photo. Different lenses, different filters, switch up like your editing style, put a black and white filter on it, that always helps. Um, Shutter dragging, long exposures, just like switch it up every time. Every photo does not need to look the same, and that'll like keep it fresh like every single time.
Yeah. And then also remembering you're growing in all these years too.
Yes,
It's like your skill set is only expanding every year. So I imagine
exactly.
every year is just getting crazier and crazier.
Thank you.
Oh, I love this photo. We have from Camille, every photographer's bane of existence. If an artist posts your work without attribution, do you request credit?
I do, but I let my people in the chat handle that. Like I'll post it on my page, right? And I'll put like the camera emojis so people know like I shot it.
Yeah.
And my supporters are diehards. Like they'll be like in the person's comments, like, yo, Mickey shot this, Mickey shot that, like itchy eye
Hey.
photos. So I let my supporters do that. But it's 100% okay if like an artist doesn't tag your work. You know it's yours. People that follow you know it's your work. Like it's 100% okay. Like you could still use it for your portfolio, but you don't have to go like crazy ham like in their comments, like yo, tag me, this and that. Like it's just not worth it. Like you know you shot it, people know you shot it. Like it's okay. It's okay. Unless it starts getting like on billboards and stuff like that, then you gotta start talking to like lawyers and things like that. But like
Right.
just like the Instagram stuff, like it's okay.
Do you have any tips to navigating the Instagram algorithm? Mona in the chat.
Hmm. You know, it changes a lot. It changes a lot. I would
Algorithm changes
just
so fast now.
yeah, like first it was like, oh, we have to put like 50 hashtags, and now it's like we're limited to six and post during this time and this time. So now I just stick to posting everything 4x5 vertical, and then I'll use like 4 or 5 hashtags. But as far as like really, really keeping up with it, like certain times and days, I don't do that. I just post what feels natural. But I definitely do post like a lot of my work in vertical.
Okay, cool. That's good to know. Um, I kind of want to take a step back for a second because I was
Hmm.
thinking about how you mentioned a few questions ago now that like you're often one of very few women in the pit or at the venue
Yes.
or something like that. And maybe could you tell us how you navigate being a part of a male-centered niche, or like how you get through that?
Well, just it's apparent that you're gonna be like one of one in the photo pit or one of one in these rooms or in these meetings, and like that's okay. Like you kind of just have to like shelf that for a little. But there are people just like we are. We're strong like them mentally, physically. We're all very creative. And I guess years like just like the way like the world is and how like, like men will get more jobs and more pay raises and things like that. But it's like if we don't show face and show that we can, then how can we? So it's like you just have to go at it like it's just you against the world. Like just don't focus on the outside. Don't focus on that because it's like why? Like I'm not trying to compare myself to anybody or anybody's work. It's just like do what's right for you and what's right for you will come.
How do you feel like you get to develop your like artistic voice as a music photographer? I feel like music photographers get a lot of flack
Hmm.
because it's centered around celebrity, and then like I feel like y'all just getting shaded all the time like these aren't good images because a celebrity is in it. Um
Right?
So I would love if you could talk about like how you developed your artistic voice, the way you like to tell the story of a concert.
Yeah, we do get a lot of slack for it, and, like, I'm on Twitter and I'll see it. They'll be like, "Oh, just because a celebrity is in it doesn't mean it's a good photo," and it's like,
Yeah.
that rings true because the celebrity is already kind of like they have that kind of, like, statuesque kind of look already, and if I'm taking it with an iPhone, it's like, just because he's in it doesn't make it a good photo, but it's like, if you know your work and you know, like, your camera gear, like, you can make people look good, like, no matter what you're shooting with. And there's a lot of times where I'll shoot a photo, like, on film, and they won't say it when it's on film, right? They won't be like, "Oh, it's just a celebrity in it, it's just
I'll
like
never
that," and
say
it's like,
that.
they'll never say that, and it's like, it's when you're looking at a photo, it's like you're just trying to capture the energy of the artist. I feel like that's what makes it different from being just an artist, like, on your camera and on your feed, because if the subject is not giving you the energy, it's not gonna be a good photo no matter what. So you
Yeah.
have to truly rely, like, on the subject to give you that pop of energy, and also, like, those people are haters, like, they're just hating because they didn't take that photo, they weren't in that room, and it's okay, like, don't press yourself so much, like, it's gonna be okay.
Right. Which speaking of which, I didn't know that you shot film. What kind of film? Like, what's your favorite kind of film?
Film is expensive, actually. I kinda slowed down just because film is super expensive, but I'll literally shoot with, like, the cheap kind from, like, Walgreens, so I think it's,
Yeah.
like, the Kodak
I think is it
8
Kodak?
yeah, it's I don't know, they would sell it at, like, Walgreens or, like, Target now. I would just shoot with that,
Yeah.
and as far as, like, the cameras, the film cameras, I use a Yashica T4 and a Contax T3. I feel like it's more so, like it's based, like, on, like, the film you shoot versus, like, the film stock. So
Yeah.
it's, like, the same with, like, your cameras and stuff, you know?
Yeah, definitely. Um, that's really cool. Shout out to the film shots. Go crazy.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna get back in the chat. Um, Shaka says, when you photograph music festivals, what brings you the most joy out of it?
That might be my favorite question so
I
far.
know, right?
Um, um, there's videos on my page where I'll just be, like, in the photo pit, just, like, having, like, tons of fun, and it's, like, at home, like, I can listen to it, like, on my AirPods and stuff like that, but, like, when you're in the photo pits, like, that artist that was on your phone is, like, in your face, so it's, like, all your favorite songs, and I just try to enjoy the moment because just like First 3, like, a whole show goes by like that. So you just have to, like, soak up all the energy and just have fun because we're doing what we love. Like, why wouldn't you smile and wanna have fun and dance around? Like, that's only gonna make your job, like, so much easier because you love what you're doing.
Yeah, I think it's important, especially if you're interested in music photography, to photograph the people that you like, the people that you're interested
Mhm.
that you would go to their concert if you weren't photographing them. In order to be able to feel that moment that you're talking about, where you're like, this was gonna be fun for you regardless.
Yeah. 100%.
Which that's so cool. Um, and that makes me think about like how festivals are long and
Girl.
and outdoors, and sometimes it's hot or rainy and like you're in the elements and you're working hard and you're carrying 20, 30 pounds worth of gear. Like, how do you take care of yourself? Because I'd be tired if I'm at a festival without my camera. Like, how do you manage that?
Well, I'm human just like anybody else. I get tired, you know, so I'll have like an energy drink, but I'll always have like liquid IV. Like I just bought like a new pack of it. Just
Shout out
bought. A new
Isis.
pack. I
Yes.
have to. So I'll put that in my water, Tylenol. I don't eat like bad food at the festival, so I try to keep like the smoothies or like the fruits and stuff like that. Comfortable shoes. I don't know how people are wearing Jordans and Converse to festivals. Maybe they like broken in the sole, but for me, like I cannot. I cannot. So I will 100%, I'm wearing my On Cloud Monsters. Those are so comfortable to wear like all day. They like feel really bouncy. And then you'll get back to your room like the end of the day and it's like your feet don't hurt. So prioritize your shoes because that's gonna like keep you going. Yeah, that'll keep you going.
Yeah, definitely. Which speaking of that, what else do you wear? Like, we spoke to Imara earlier, who's a wildlife photographer, and she was like, you gotta have the neutral cargos and stuff like that. Like, do you feel like there's any like necessary clothing items that you should wear when you're outside, especially at a festival?
Yeah, and shout out to her because I love cargo pants. Like
True.
but yeah, being a music photographer, just anybody like around that, you want to wear stage black. And people are like, oh, why are you wearing black? It's like 100 degrees outside. It looks professional. And if you're on the camera on a live stream and you see me in the corner, you don't really see me because I'm wearing black. You know, if I was wearing all yellow or like a bright color, kind of distracting from what the artist is wearing. So you kind of want to be like just out the way wearing black. And it's not that hard. Like yeah, you get hot, you change your shirt, like that's fine. Like just bring an extra shirt. I get a lot of my black tees from Amazon. I will wear my On Cloud Masters. Those are black. And then as far as pants, like I love wearing cargo pants for work because I can just put like a lot of stuff like in my pockets.
Yeah.
Jeans are not really comfortable unless you like size up by three or like you're wearing like your brother's pants. But definitely, yeah. So black tees. I'll have like a foldable um what is it? Like a rain jacket. Um
Oh, that's so smart.
yeah, I'll have that like in my little like fanny pack, like with my other lenses. Like I'll have like a rain thing, maybe like a little fan if I get hot. Yeah, so tees, pants, comfortable shoes, hat, maybe if you like wearing hats. Yeah, but honestly, like you don't really like feel all of that because your energy is so high during a festival. But yeah, just wear comfortable clothes. Just yeah, wear what feels comfortable because you're gonna be in it for a while.
True. Yes. So does that mean you also use those like waterproofing like covers for your camera and stuff like that?
Yes,
Mm.
yes. I think I get it from Altura. I could be saying that wrong, but
Oh
it's on
yeah, sure.
Amazon. Yeah. So I'll get that like on Amazon and I'll put that like in my little fanny pack just in case it starts raining. Or if I have like the full poncho, it'll cover like my bag and my camera
Mhm.
gear. And it's okay for like your camera gear to get like wet, right? Don't like get it like soaked in the water. And then weather sealing camera lens as well. So I'll put that as well. But I live in Miami, so the rain is not like I'm used to rain.
True. Okay, I'm gonna go back into the chat. Let's see who we have here. Oh, I like this. Montserrat says, when was your first Rolling Loud shoot? And if you can remember, how was the experience? I like this question because I'm also curious about if that experience has changed now that you have like a bunch of festivals underneath your belt.
Yeah, and then the first one that I shot was in Miami, and that was 2000. Yeah, the first one was 2015 in Wynwood, and that day was hurricane. It was hurricane season. It was flooding. It was like up to our knees. It was
What?
foggy. I didn't even have like a had like the kit lens, one camera, everything was foggy. I didn't know like what a lens cloth was or anything like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So from that to now, yeah, a lot has changed. Like I would know to pack lens cloth or like different cameras or just like a towel maybe for myself. So you kind of just learn like from the rain to when it's cold to when it's like super hot. Like your outfits will just change depending on that. But that first Rolling Loud in hurricane season was that was crazy.
I can't believe you had y'all outside. Like what?
Outside, that was crazy. And then I think it was 2018 in Miami, we had Rolling Loud during Post Malone. And there was no thunderstorms or anything like that. So the festival was still going on, but there was rain like up to our knees in the photo pit. And looking back on those photos, they're not great photos, but like knowing that you can see like the raindrops in the photo and like so like that the elements will kind of like add a signature piece like to your photos.
So don't always be so afraid of it. And I mean, it's
Yeah.
authentic to the moment. Like anybody that was there in 2018 would be like, you remember when we were all up to our knees in the rain, but we stayed to watch so and so? Like that's a
Yes.
moment.
Yeah, all these times make for like great stories. And I know like all my black queens in the chat are like, oh my God, my hair, my outfit, my lashes, my this, my that. It's like, girl, you came to a festival. You gotta be ready for the elements. And it's like, yeah, your hair, but it's like the moment you just like were a part of, that doesn't happen every day, right? So it's like you can get your hair done again and get your lashes done again. But that moment is where it was. Like it's not coming back.
Mm. Okay. I see we're coming to time, so I want to do one last question that I think a lot of people actually want to know the answer to too. So Anonymous says, how do you curb the nerves when dealing with tough artists, or do you even get nervous?
Hmm. I get nervous before every shoot that I do, no
Mm.
matter what it is. Even if I'm going to like photograph my friend's like baby in their house or something, like I those nerves make me feel good. It's like, okay, I this means something to me.
Yeah.
Um, and then working with like terrible artists or like artists that are super rude, it's like you get to see like how these artists are in person. I have dealt with like some pretty rude ones, but like the majority of the people that I photograph and put on my page, they're 100% respectful. And it's just like don't let them like see you sweat. Like it's totally fine. Like whatever they're going through that day, that's nothing that you did personally. So
Yeah.
just like keep shooting.
Yeah. Like you're there to get a job done just like they are.
Hmm.
Don't take it personally, kind of
Nope.
thing. But thinking about that, I actually would like to ask one more question because I don't want to end on a
Yes.
negative note. So we have another question in here that says, what's your post processing like? Um, how many photos do you usually shoot? Do you have to turn them in like while you're at the festival? How long do you get? Like, what's your editing style like?
So if you're working for the festival and the official media team, like back of house is where they'll have like our trailers set up with like our Wi-Fi and we'll have like our laptops and our gear and stuff. So everybody will have like a schedule of what they're supposed to photograph and things like that. Um, so let's say I'm going out and I'm photographing like Meg the Stallion, and there's like a red square like on her name. That means it's a live edit. So a live edit means I'm photographing, then I'm running back, editing really, really quickly, dropping it in the Dropbox for the team to have, and then they post it on their socials. That's why sometimes when you're at festivals, you're like, dang, how are these people at least festivals like posting in real time because we edit in real time. Then after the festival, at the end of the night, I'll put my SD cards on my computer, everything backed up to a hard drive. Then I'll start editing on Adobe Lightroom, which is my favorite software to use. Yes. It makes it so easy because I can just like flag the certain photos that I think are really good, put like color labels on it, quickly add like my editing style to it, and then export out. I think for a festival for 3 days, like depending on the lineup, first day I might have like 3,000 photos
Ooh,
just for the first day.
sheesh, that is so many photos to go through.
Oh yes.
We know these hard drives are heavy. They're full to the max.
I have one hard drive now. I just had to buy a new one. It's like 36 terabytes because I run through them a lot. Because the raw files and then the Sony 60 megapixels is a really big file
They're
size. So
massive files.
they're huge. So you need a computer that's fast, hard drive that's fast. And yeah, this you're gonna constantly be buying hard drives.
Yeah. They didn't tell me that when I started either.
They didn't tell us that this was not a cheap hobby. They did not.
Okay.
They left that part out.
They looked at all these very quiet expenses. Um, okay, so that wraps up our conversation with Mickey. Mickey, thank you so, so much.
Thank
My
you.
dog was barking at a point, and I hope that was not too distractive. I tried to mute when it happened, but if it was, I apologize. Um, I'm so grateful that you can come and talk with us and share your knowledge, and we learned so much from you today. I also wanted to note that for folks in the chat, if you use the hashtag BWP Summit on Twitter, Instagram, IGs, you can enter to win 1 free year of Adobe photography plan, which includes Photoshop and Lightroom. So all those things we were talking about with Mickey editing and all those types of things, like you can win a whole free year of this plan. Just use that hashtag online and maybe you'll be a lucky girl. Now, actually, before we leave, I have one last question for you that just came in. It's gonna be
Yes.
the home run question. What do you do during the off season when concerts aren't happening? How do you maintain your growth and prepare to get hired for next year?
That's a good question. Well, we stated that I do the vlogs on my off time, so that's fun for me. I also go to the gym religiously. I'm actually dressed right now
Please.
because I'm about to go to the gym. Um, yeah, the gym. I like binge watching like a lot of TV, or I'll just be on my phone, like graduating again from YouTube University, watching tutorials or like reaching out to folks. And yeah, just don't keep myself in a box. Like even if it's like a slow season, maybe I'm photographing fitness or I'm photographing like parties or things like that. And it's like there's always something to do in our photo industry.
Yeah, I love that. Which is why it's important not to keep ourselves in a box. You don't only have to be one type of photographer. You can do multiple things. So like Mickey said, if it's a little slow season for one thing, maybe it's not so slow on the other side.
Very true.
Perfect. Well, we don't want to hold you up. I thank you again. This was so much fun. We really appreciate you. And don't forget that this is year 3 of the BWP Summit, and there are a ton of educational resources that we give to y'all for free because we want it to be accessible for all of us. Shout out to Black women photographers. Shout out to Adobe Photoshop Lightroom, and we'll be back in 30 for the next guest. Thank you. Oh, wait, before you leave, can I take a screenshot?
Yeah, yeah.
All right, bye, y'all.
Bye, guys.